Welcome to the Getting Started with .NET Core course. In this course, we're going to look at the .NET Core, how to use it, what the benefits are, and what best practices we should follow when creating .NET Core applications. So why should you learn .NET Core when Microsoft has said that the .NET framework is here to stay? Here are a few reasons. First of all, .NET Core is much faster than the .NET framework. Second, .NET Core is actually easier to develop than the .NET framework. Third, .NET Core has security baked into it in a way that the .NET framework never has. And finally, .NET Core is cross-platform, meaning you can run it on a Mac, on Linux, or on Windows. Now in this course, you'll see even more reasons why .NET Core is superior to the .NET framework. So let's look at what we're going to cover. First of all, we're going to cover core console applications in .NET. Yep, the trusty console is now cross-platform compatible. There are a few tricks to know to get it to truly work on any platform, so we'll touch on those, including how to get it to work with app settings. Next, we're going to look at the web types in .NET Core. This is where we'll spend most of our time, since that's where the majority of your work will be in the .NET Core. We'll create a web application with Razor Pages, an MVC application, and an API project. After that, we'll look at how to get data to and from web pages, including forms, multi-post handlers, and more, before we move on to how to set up authentication on a new project or an existing site. Now finally, we'll look at a number of security options that are built into web applications to help keep our users safe and comply with regulations, such as GDPR. Now before we get started, let's talk through the technology I'll be using in this course. First of all, I am using the release candidate version of Visual Studio 2019, but you don't have to. You can use Visual Studio 2017, Community Edition is free, Visual Studio Code, which is free, or Visual Studio for Mac, which is also free. The choice is up to you. To get the latest release version of Visual Studio, go to visualstudio.com and download it. Now, like I said, I'll be doing all this work in Visual Studio 2019. That means your screen might be a little bit different, especially if you're using VS Code or Visual Studio for Mac. Not to worry though, everything I do will work in your version. Next, this course is based upon .NET Core 2.2. As of the time of this recording, .NET Core 3.0 was not yet in production release, and what changes were in it were mostly focused on WinForms and WPF. Now, if you're using a version of .NET Core later than 2.2, you should be fine. To get .NET Core 2.2, go to .net.microsoft.com/download. I'll put that link down in the description in just a minute. And select the SDK version of the .NET Core. That's important, the SDK, not the runtime. Now, if it's a later version, or if you're concerned about compatibility, you can go to the download archives and find 2.2 as well, so you can have the exact version that I have. So those are the links, visualstudio.com, to get any of your Visual Studio, so Code, Mac, or the full 2019. Also the .net.microsoft.com for your version of the .NET Core framework. Now, once you have all that set, let's get started with .NET Core.